Close your eyes, exhale, feel your body relax, and let go of whatever you're carrying today.
Well, I'm letting go of the worry that I wouldn't get my new contacts in time for this class. I got them delivered free from 1-800-CONTACTS. Oh my gosh, they're so fast.
And breathe.
Oh, sorry. I almost couldn't breathe when I saw the discount they gave me on my first order. Oh, sorry. Namaste.
Visit 1-800-CONTACTS.com today to save on your first order.
1-800-CONTACTS.
Where's your playlist taking you? Down the highway? To the mountains? Or just into daydream mode while you're stuck in traffic? With over 4,000 hotels worldwide, Best Western is there to help you make the most of your getaway, wherever that is. Because the only thing better than a great playlist is a great trip. Life's the trip. Make the most of it at Best Western. Book direct and save at bestwestern.com.
This episode is brought to you by Peloton. Break through the busiest time of year with the brand new Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus, powered by Peloton IQ. With real-time guidance and endless ways to move, you can personalize your workouts and train with confidence, helping you reach your goals in less time. Let yourself run, lift, sculpt, push, and go. Explore the new Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus at onepeloton.com.
Ugh, you said you were over him, but his hoodie is still in your rotation. It's time. Grab your phone, snap a few pics, and sell it on Depop. Listed in minutes, with no selling fees. And just like that, a guy 500 miles away just paid full price for your closure. And right on cue.
Hey, still got my hoodie?
Nope, but I've got tonight's dinner paid for. Start selling on Depop, where taste recognizes taste. List now with no selling fees. Payment processing fees and boosting fees still apply. See website for details.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome to Birds of the Roundtable, our 2026 NFL Draft position rankings continues. We did quarterback last week with a mock. Today we're doing running back with a mock. Joining us, David, at David Needs PHL on X. What's going on, man?
What's going on, dude? Good to see you again. I love that you're back doing the draft stuff. You've always been great at it. I appreciate you coming back for this. I know it's hard work, but we miss you on the regular show, but it's nice to have you for 2 months.
Yeah, in the words of John Wick, I'm back. I definitely miss, this is my bread and butter. I love covering this stuff. Guys, if you're watching us live, please be sure to comment, chat with us, and let us know your thoughts on this position. Little G is in the house. Eagles keep A.J. Brown. We'll see. I believe there are some rumors that the chatter would get going during the combine, which is about a week, 2 weeks away.
Next Thursday, yep.
Next Thursday, man. This month, this year's just going fast. Just flying by.
Yes, it is.
But let's roll into this thing. We're going to talk our top 5 running backs. We'll go from 5 to 1. And then we're also going to do a mock where we have to mock a running back to the Philadelphia Eagles, probably 4 rounds. And as always, please like and subscribe. Let's roll into our number 5 running back. Ryan's not joining us. He had Nicholas Singleton out of Penn State. But David, you also had Nick Singleton at number 5.
I do, yeah. I think, injury aside, I think he's a high upside runner. He has a powerful frame. He's built to handle a lot of volume. He remains a staple in my top 5 just because I do think he has some physical traits and big play potential that, is worth drafting, especially if you're going to get him at a discounted price now. Like I've seen him probably plummet about 20 spots in mock draft simulations, which doesn't always tell the whole story, but when it comes to injured players, there's definitely going to be a drop, and he probably will suffer a little bit from that. But, yeah, I still have him in the top 5 at 5th. I probably had him maybe 4th if he didn't get hurt. But I do like his traits. I do think he brings a lot of big play potential, and, everything you have up there. His upside is pretty good. He's good in the passing game. He's really got great acceleration to me, which is why I think he has that big playability. Yeah, having a down year in 2025 and getting hurt kind of probably decreases his stock some. So I think some team might get lucky and probably get him on day 3 somewhere in the 25, 150 pick range there.
I was quite surprised when he returned to Penn State
Me
last
too.
year. And because, he was one of the top running backs heading into 2025. And like you said, had a down year just like the rest of Penn State. Are you concerned at all that Katron Allen played really well and then he kind of had a down year? Like, I know there are a lot of dysfunction with that Penn State offense. They just never seem to get going. But you look at the drop off, just 19 forced missed tackle, down year with as a receiver as well. He did have 0 fumbles, which is nice, but you can't deny the talent. He is definitely a big time talent. Doesn't have a lot of wiggle. Not going to get guys missing in open space, but definitely a big talent.
Yeah, I actually have Allen 6th. If we were going that deep, I have his, I think he's probably ranked near him at this stage due to the injury and all. And like you mentioned, Allen outproduced him. And Allen's a little more rugged. He's a consistent runner between the tackles. But I think he'd be, he's a dependable starter as well, especially if he's going to be used in like a committee. But I do think Singleton just has that big play potential that Allen lacks. And, that's the name of the game in the NFL now, is those explosive plays. And I'm not suggesting he's like a former Penn State runner, Saquon Barkley, but once you have the ability to bust out some runs like that, your stock's always going to be relatively high.
Yeah, he's a good prospect for sure. Let's roll into my number 5. And the guy we're talking about, I think, is very underrated. We're talking about Damon Claiborne out of Wake Forest as I tried to share my screen. There he is. There's Damon Claiborne. Hopefully you guys see that. Small, 5'10", 195 pounds. This is a guy that was a big time standout during the East-West Shrine Bowl. One of the most explosive and fastest running backs in this year's class. Has a lot of juice. A guy that can, get to the corner and dominate on those horizontal running concepts, which automatically makes him a very intriguing fit for the Philadelphia Eagles heading into 2026. He's a guy that can hit the lane, turn the corner with true home run hitting speed. When you watch his tape, this guy buries defenders in open space, buries them in the dust. Like it looks like a video game character. That's how fast he is compared to everyone else. Very quick feet, absurd change of direction ability. I really like his upside as a receiver as well. Didn't have that many stats, just 137 receiving yards, but I think the upside is all there at the next level, and that's where he looked really good during the draft process so far. He's also a really good special teamer. He had a couple of touchdowns as a returner, has all the speed and explosiveness the Eagles should be looking in this role. Negative-wise, obviously, he's very small. Definitely needs to improve in pass pro. Really struggles, holding the point of attack in blitz pickup. Just love the guy's versatility and production. He's one of just a handful of players who had more than 5 yards per carry, 5 yards per reception, and 10 touchdowns in one season. I think he's a day 3 guy. I think most think he's a day 3 guy, but I really think he has a chance to dominate during the combine and turn some heads and sneak his way into day 2. That's Damon Claiborne.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. This year, focused a little differently during the draft. I've been doing something called like Philly fits, where I've kind of just tried to hone in on the type of players at each position, that the traits and qualities that the Eagles would look for. And I agree with you. I think Claiborne, he's number 7th on my overall running back list, but he's number 2 on my Eagles board as far as running backs go. For everything you said, he's a slasher. He's a change of tempo guy with juice and space. He gets through the hole. He's dangerous on the perimeter, like you mentioned. He just that kind of field flipping weapon that, he can change the position in a blink. And that, there's a lot of value for that. I like that with the Eagles. And I know you like this as well. He was a standout in the Senior Bowl, and I put a lot of stock into that. I'm a big fan of the Senior Bowl. I like watching the guys when they outperform their expectations, and he did that. So, yeah, I'm a fan of him for the Eagles late. If you're talking pick 179, whatever. But I do think he's a good fit for the Eagles as a change of pace kind of guy.
All right, let's roll on to number 4. Ryan went with Emmett Johnson. out of Nebraska, a guy that we're going to be touching on in just a moment. But for your number 4, you had Jonah Coleman. Jonah Coleman. Any thoughts on Jonah?
Yeah, he's a compact back. I think he's a little short. I don't remember what he is exactly. You might know, 5'8", 5'9". Does that sound about right?
Yeah, he's not the biggest.
He has a lot of fundamental power. He has really good contact balance. I mean, some scouts have even graded him as elite contact balance. He wins with efficiency, leverage, and a very high football IQ. He has, top tier value in this draft, despite not having the prototypical size, in my opinion. But the reason I had him a little downgraded is because he may be a better fit for a scheme and for a team that's willing to work with the player with his size and with his attributes and physical traits. So, but like you have on the board now that you see, he just doesn't have that elite speed. And that's something I kind of look for these days just because I'm just such a big fan of that home run ability there. But he is like a bowling ball. You're exactly right. He possesses, great ball security. And again, that elite balance that you see when you watch the film. But yeah, I mean, I don't think this is the strongest of running back classes, but in this class, I mean, he's definitely probably in the top 4 on almost every board.
Yeah, I like him a lot. He's number 2 on my board, and I like his upside in a lot of different facets in terms of being a lead blocker, pass protection. As a receiver, he's got soft pair of hands. Again, not a burner by any stretch of the imagination. This is a throwback physical running back with just enough juice that I think could be a 3-down back at the next level. He's just not flashy, and he's not filet mignon. He's chicken and rice, and that's okay.
Yeah.
So I really like Jonah Coleman. Again, great ball security. Some of the guys we're going to be talking about going forward really struggled in that area. So again, just 2 fumbles in his college career is pretty nice. And yeah, Jonah Coleman. So that's kind of like, this is a good segue into like just the general running back class, because there's one guy that's, we're going to be unanimous with the number 1 spot here. But after that, you get into a group, I think a tier where it's just a bunch of day 2, day 3 guys, depending on scheme fit. And I think Jonah Coleman could be a high day 2 guy. I would not be surprised if he has a really good combine, but you could mix and match a lot of these guys through 2 and the 5 spot.
Yeah, I agree completely. And I do think a lot of it's scheme or just the type of back you prefer. Like I said, I like those explosive guys who can just score at any point from anywhere on the field. But yeah, I mean, like you said, I think you described him best. He's like a damn bowling ball, man. He just runs through things. He's just solid player though. Fun guy to watch. I just don't know if he's like a guy who fits with Philadelphia, but he definitely is going to find a home.
Yeah. Let's roll into my number 4, a guy that's really interesting, and that is Mike Washington Jr. out of Arkansas. The first thing that pops is 6'2", 223. I think he's actually 228 pounds right now. Senior running back, rare physique for the position. Those physical attributes made him one of the top stars of the recent Senior Bowl. And when you watch the tape, you quickly see why. This is a guy that averaged how many yards per carry? 6.4 yards per carry on a Arkansas squad that was 2-10, and their offensive line was straight up garbage. So that's worthy of noting. He's got jaw-dropping elusiveness, great vision, great acceleration. He can hit the hole at 228 pounds. The way the guy drops his shoulder and helmet and runs over people is awesome. He had 644 yards after contact last year. So that upside with that size and that frame, and that is really, really what this guy's all about. His pass protection is actually pretty solid as well. He's got 73 career receptions, soft hands. Negative-wise, he's a little bit of a stiff runner. He's more of a straight line kind of guy. And he also had 10 fumbles, I think, in his college career. He's got a lot of tread on the tires. But I think similar to Jonah Coleman, like if this guy shows well at the combine and shows that he can hang on to the football. I think he's got day 2 upside and 3 down upside at the next level. Any thoughts on Mike Washington?
Yeah, I think you nailed him. Nailed him. He's a downhill runner. He's kind of a tone setter. Another guy, like you said, doesn't have a lot of, you know, twitchy wiggles kind of stuff, but he's dominant between the tackles. He brings a blue collar edge to him every time he goes to the field. He's decisive with his reads. He just powers right through contact, like you said. It's just awesome watching him just maul people over. He's built, in my opinion, just to wear a defense down over 4 quarters. He's the kind of guy who you just beat the hell out of the opposing defense with. And when you're watching on tape, you mentioned his unique size. I'm not talking about his style of play, anything like that, just his physical stature. He looks like Adrian Peterson. They're almost exactly built the exact same way. They were almost both 6'2", 220. They look very, very, very similar. They have different games. I'm not comparing them in any way, shape, or form with that. But just his physical size is just very similar to what he looked like when you think back, looking at old film like that. But which I say old. I don't even know when that was anymore. That God, I'm old if I'm calling that old. But yeah, that's just terrible. But yeah, I like him. I have him somewhere like 7th, 8th. I think I have him 8th, right behind Claiborne.
Okay. Let's roll on to number 3. My man Ryan's number 3 was Jadarian Price out of Notre Dame. We'll get to him momentarily. David, you went with Emmett Johnson out of Nebraska.
Yeah, I think some people are just like kind of starting to watch him. He's kind of become a fast riser here recently. He's drawn comparisons to Josh Jacobs by a few scouts for his blend of toughness and just the burst he has. He has explosive cutting abilities, natural hands in space. He brings 3 down upside, as you see on the screen. He had almost 1,500 rushing yards, almost 6 yards per carry average, 12 touchdowns. He's just an explosive runner. Pretty patient in the hole, decent upside with hands, like I mentioned earlier. And the drawback is the last thing there on the tail of the tape, just doesn't possess that elite long speed. But I think he's going to be a 3 down back for somebody in the NFL. I'm pretty excited to see where he goes. Nebraska does pretty well in getting these guys pro ready for NFL teams. So I expect them to do pretty well right out the gate.
We have Mikey chiming in, says Eagles are heading to the Super Bowl next year. Bring back C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Mekhi Becton. Definitely with you on Becton. But, yeah, Emmett Johnson is my guy. I think he's one of the top guys to watch at the upcoming combine. He could make himself a lot of money. Also important to note, apparently he's a phenomenal character guy, which definitely puts him on the bullseye, the target for Howie Roseman and the Philadelphia Eagles for sure. So Emmett Johnson, definitely a really good watch. Not a guy that's going to run over a lot of guys, but he breaks a lot of arm tackles, especially on the outside. Again, elite ball security and doesn't have elite breakaway speed, but knows how to hit the hole. And I think a day 2 guy, potentially, if all goes well. That is Emmett Johnson. Let's steam forward to my number 3. And that was Emmett Johnson. Okay. Just last notes about Emmett Johnson. I think his pass protection improved this year. It's an area that was definitely a weakness. It proved to being average. It definitely still needs to take some further development in the NFL. But it's also worth noting, I think he's got real upside as a receiver. He was a former wide receiver before converting to running back. And I think that could be a really intriguing fit next to Saquon. Rolling into number 2, Ryan had Jonah Coleman as his number 2. David, you had Jadarian Price. Any words on Jadarian Price?
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of overshadowed because he was the number 1 on everybody's board teammate there, but he's very versatile. He's one of the more versatile backs in the class. He excels as a runner. He's also a special teams weapon. He flashes exceptional vision. I think he's a strong day 2 selection. He was underutilized a little bit at Notre Dame, and some will find that actually more desirable than somebody who's been beat to death. But you list how explosive he is there on the tail of the tape, and you also list the number 1 drawback, which is the fumbles. And that is something that'll have to be cleaned up for him to be successful and relied upon in the NFL. I think he will keep developing as a receiver like you have there. He has shown a little bit of ability there, but what did he have last year? 6 receptions. Again, he was just kind of underutilized in that offense when you have a workhorse like you do with Jeremiah Love. But he's definitely, in my opinion, probably going to be a day 2 guy, and I would say early day 2 guy. I'd be surprised if he gets out of the second round.
The important thing throughout the draft process will be looking at that torn Achilles he had back in 2022. I'm assuming he will check out medically. We have a comment about what we think about Tank Bigsby. He's a great running back to me. Any thoughts on Tank, David?
Yeah, I think both of us loved him in college. I remember we both were raving about him. I was, ecstatic when the Eagles got him, angry when they didn't use him properly, then ecstatic again when they started giving him some carries. I think he's the perfect insurance weapon for Saquon Barkley, and Saquon's guaranteed money ends at the end of 2026, I am quite sure. And if they see any wear and tear with him, that is a really type of Howie move where they could just move on from that and then extend Tank for half the money. So I think he's in their plans a lot more than people realize if Saquon Barkley, shows any cracks in the armor there.
My number 2, we already touched on him, but I'm going to talk about him again. Jonah Coleman. I really like this guy. Again, not the flashiest but definitely has a knack for the end zone. 25 rushing touchdowns the last 2 years. I think he can accelerate to top speed in a hurry, off hands, much more than just a check down option in the pass game. Definitely has upside as a pass protector. Just a guy that does all the things pretty well. And I think that's definitely worthy of a shout out. Let's roll on to our number 1. Ryan had, surprise, surprise, love. It's all nothing but love here. David, is this guy blue chip prospect all the way?
I mean, he's the undisputed running back 1 in this class, and he probably will be a top 20 pick. I guess he'll go in the first round. He's projected to be a top 10 pick. He pairs elite runaway speed with sharp vision, legitimate versatility as a high-impact pass catcher, which basically just makes him a true 3-down game changer. I mean, there are not many of them, out there. Just an electric playmaker, like you said there. Under 72 rushing yards, almost 7 yards per carry average. I mean, he's pretty much the most complete running back in this class. If you compared him to running backs over like the last couple years that were in like the first round, like Bijan and that, he's probably 3rd, 4th, maybe on my list. But this year, without a doubt, he's 1st overall.
Yeah, I definitely think pound for pound, he's arguably the most talented player in this draft. I've always been a big fan of his. Every time you watch a Notre Dame game, he's one of the guys that always popped off the screen, whether that's jumping over people or that athleticism, that acceleration, just natural athleticism has been always super impressive. He's got twitch. He's got everything modern NFL offenses are looking for: contact balance, vision, power, burst, change of direction, true 3-down weapon at the next level. I think he's the best non-quarterback in this draft and the safest player in this draft. And in a down year for the NFL draft, I think I'm going to surprise some people when we do our overall rankings with Jeremiah Love. I really like him. I get the whole position thing, but just a big play threat, Clinton Portis-esque kind of dude. So
how do you rank the 3? Like Ashton Genty, you would like 3rd?
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, definitely behind like Bijan, definitely behind Saquon, definitely behind Genty.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe like in the same line of like Jahmyr Gibbs. Nah, definitely better than Gibbs.
And look how well Gibbs is. I mean, that's a pretty big compliment. That's a pretty big statement. Yeah.
Okay. That is our top 5 running backs in the 2026 NFL draft. Do you agree or disagree? Let us know down in the comments. Again, this is pre-combine, so a lot will be fluid here as we gather more and more information. So what we're going to do next is a 4-round Eagles mock draft, and we're going to include a running back in our Eagles 4-round mock. David, in all of the mock drafts so far this year, have you had a running back selected?
No.
I definitely have had a quarterback. I definitely played around with that concept. I agree. I'm in the same boat. I've never selected a running back. So this will be new. So
Yeah, I've only selected quarterbacks, the same 2 over and over and over again. So yeah, I barely do that either.
All right. So we're gonna go through this fast. All straight down the middle. David, you want to go first? All right. 4-round Eagles mock. We have to take a running back. That's the only caveat tonight. Let me know what you want me to do, but the Eagles are on the clock here at pick 23.
I feel like this is redundant, but if this is on the board in April for Howie Roseman, I am taking Vega every single time he's going to be there at pick 23, especially with the way they've moved forward, with the way they, trying to do these outside run zones. That guy is, to me, a perfect fit. And when you take into account, the possibility of Dickerson leaving, and even if it's not this year, it's soon. It's coming. You got to prepare for it. And I would probably start Vega over Steen tomorrow. So give me Vega.
And interestingly enough, I just read a mock from Daniel Jeremiah who had Blake Miller to the Birds at number 23.
I love that. Of the three offensive tackles, Blake Miller, Hyenekor, is that how you say it? And Monroe Freeling, those are the top 3 for me. Like, I want them to leave the draft with one of those guys.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead and go to OT. I love Chase Basantis there too, by the way. If I don't get Vega, I'm taking him like 9 out of 10 times too. Yeah, Blake Miller's there. Let's do it. This is a draft. I have to go running back. I might as well let them have some people plow the fields in front of them.
All right, number 68.
Go to wide receiver just to humor me.
It's tax season, and at LifeLock, we know you're tired of numbers. But here's a big one you need to hear. Billions. That's the amount of money in refunds the IRS has flagged for possible identity fraud. Now here's another big number. 100 million. That's how many data points LifeLock monitors every second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it guaranteed. One last big number. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast for the threats you can't control. Terms apply.
We heard you. 9 years of Bring Back the Snack Wrap, and you've won. But maybe you should have asked for more. Say hello to the Hot Honey Snack Wrap. Now you've really won. Go to McDonald's and get it while you can.
Support for Fans First Sports Network comes from Big Fork Brands, bringing bold bacon sausage, paleo pork jerky, and Chicago-style sauces to your table. Enjoy rich, smoky flavors made with sustainable ingredients and chef-crafted care. Big Fork uses 100% heritage hogs raised outdoors without antibiotics and has been featured by Food and Wine, the Chicago Tribune, and QVC for their bold flavors. Listeners visit bigforkbrands.com and receive 20% off at checkout using promo code FFSN. Bigforkbrands.com, promo code FFSN. Thank you for your support of this show.
And no, it's not because I think AJ's being traded, but I do think they need another weapon there. I like Branch a lot more than most people do. I think he's a pretty decent weapon, but yikes. Let me see the tight ends just to humor myself. Wow, some of them went off the board already, didn't they? Well, I'm going super offense. Give me Zachariah Branch. I will take the wide receiver. I think he's pretty good value at that stage in the draft. And now I got to take a running back.
Yep, you got 3 picks left. Do you want me to look at the running backs?
Yep.
You got Seth McGowan, who it definitely was in my top 10. Le'Veon Moss. Jaden Ott is a big Senior Bowl guy. Definitely making some noise. There's K-Tron and our guys that we talked about tonight.
Go back to tight ends real quick since I got 3 picks. I keep forgetting how many selections the Eagles have in the top 100. It's fantastic. God, I know everybody else will go Max Clare, but I'm just Not a fan. Scroll down just a little bit more. Is Tanner? Yeah, take Tanner. I know that board said he's like player 170. I assure you that's not going to be the case April 20.
All right. Number 122.
Give me Claiborne as my running back. He's the guy I said is kind of a Philly fit. I'll take him there.
Got it.
And go to quarterback. I'm just going to keep it offensive centric. I mean, if Nussmeier's there at this stage, yeah, I'm taking him. He's the best quarterback. And that's it. So I went super offense. The defense, they're going to have to extend everybody and sign CJ, GJ back, like the guy said earlier. Every year we let him go, then we bring him back and we go to the Super Bowl. Let's run it back.
You know, like, it's such a weird year that, you know, if they feel like they need to invest heavily on offense and get cheap there, that makes a lot of sense given all the heavy price tags coming on defense.
I actually would love to see a team do this one year. Just go entirely offense. Just do it. I mean, if there was ever a year to do it for the Eagles, this is it, right? I mean, this would be the year. Even if Reed leaves, and he probably is, you got Marcus Epps, who can probably play the role there. You have 10 of 11 starters already sitting there. And if you're not going to use high draft cap on a corner, you're not going to get a starter there that way anyhow. So, yeah, so give me these 6 offensive players.
Yeah, we get a lot of comments about cornerback, but I'm more of a get that position in like free agency and draft heavy trenches, at least at the top of this draft. That's where my brain.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if you can't get Jermod McCoy or Mansour Delane, you just wait and you just grab one later. Or like you said, you try to talk Adoree into coming back, or you just get some of the other guys who are out there that even Rasul Douglas, I mean, on a 1-year deal, you know, but I agree with you. Their identity has always been the trenches, and it's time to go back to that. They've thrown enough darts at the end of drafts without as much impact. It's time to go back to this.
Grade David's draft in the comments, guys. Let us know your thoughts. I'm going to roll up next, and let's do
not give me a D for David.
Wow. This played out really interesting. Did not expect that. So let's look at who is on the board. Some interesting players for sure. Messidor is right there. The more and more I think about this for the Eagles, again, I mean this like with not surprising to anybody about the trenches, but this is in general a bad draft, I think, but where the players that could interest the Eagles, I think, is on the edge. I think there's a strong group this year, and if you could get a guy that falls, or maybe they trade up to get like Keldrick Falk or a talent like that, that could be an interesting move for sure. But for the sake of my heart, I'm going to go Monroe Freeling out of Georgia here with pick number 23, because I feel like it's time.
The absolute stud, dude.
Yep. I feel like it's time to make that move. Let's quickly scan who's available here with pick number 54. Elijah Surratt. Jonah Coleman. Man, Garrett Nussmeier really fell in your draft. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. That's why you had to take. I mean, it was just too much value.
Romello Heights there. This is a huge week or two for Romello Height, older prospect, but situational pass rusher. Jeremy Bernard is an interesting name. Not the biggest Derek Moore guy. Jadarian Price is sitting there. Go Elijah Surratt for the Philadelphia Eagles. And then we're rolling to pick number 68. Let's look up who is available at tight end. Running back. Lots of guys available there. Yeah, I'm going to go Emmett Johnson. Why not? Probably going to get a lot of hate for that pick, but he's my favorite of the bunch. Pick number 98. Value. Yeah. That's officially the first running back I've ever done in an Eagles mock this year. We're rolling on to pick number 98. We'll go Malik Muhammad, cornerback.
He's one of my favorite. If you can't get Delane or McCoy up front, Muhammad is the guy for me as well later in the draft. He's just perfect for that role.
And we'll go, did I pick Eli Raridan last draft? I feel like I did.
I don't know, but both of us, when we go back and look, the tight ends have really gotten snatched up in both of these mocks.
Yeah.
And there was nothing, even when I was looking at pick 68 or whatever it was, there was nothing.
Yeah, this is rough. There's not a lot available here. Kevin Coleman. Tyron Montgomery's an interesting name.
He is. Yeah, I think we touched on him last week.
Probably gonna just go. Let's go DJ Campbell out of Texas. Why not? Guard.
Solid player.
And then we're gonna wrap it up. I need a tight end really bad. You took Tanner.
Yeah. I like Daquan Wright, too. I think he's underrated in this draft.
I haven't checked him out yet.
Yeah, check him out. I like him a lot for the Eagles. I think he'll surprise a lot of people.
I'm just gonna go chalk. Give me Eli Raritan, just huge red zone threat for the Eagles. Yeah. And then
they probably need two.
Yeah. What's more likely, double dipping at tight end or double dipping at wide receiver in this draft?
I believe it would be tight end. I just think there's way more value in there. Like if you just play the way the boards are, you get to pick around 90 to 125. You got Oscar Delp, Jolly, Tanner, just Daquan Wright. There're just so many. I think the value is like the fourth round for tight ends. I think there's just a lot of value there with them. The wide receivers, I think the elite talent kind of tapers off somewhere around top 75 picks. And then there's a handful of guys everybody fights for later, like Skylar Bell, maybe Ted Hurst if he falls, maybe Bryce Lance if you want that kind of red zone threat as well.
Yep. All right. So there is my draft. Man, this did not go as I had it going in my head. I was like focusing on trenches. We started that way with Monroe Freeling. I really just want a solid talent at wide receiver for the Eagles going forward, given a lot of the concerns. I do believe Devontae Smith can be a number one in this offense, but they have to start adding more talent. I got Elijah Surratt, really interesting name, interesting fit. Emmett Johnson, another character guy, as we mentioned in this show. I think he would be a really good fit. And then Malik Muhammad, another big-time talent at corner to grow with our, Coop and Q. DJ Campbell, another interior offensive lineman out of Texas, and then Eli Raritan out of Notre Dame. Adam chimes in, says, Kenyon Sadiq is dropping. Have you heard anything about that?
Yeah, I think he is a little bit, probably maybe to the second round at this point. I don't think it's due for any like nefarious reasons. It's just he was schemed open so much in that plan, and I think a lot of NFL teams are having a hard time trying to understand how it correlates, in the NFL with them. I think he's a really good player. I don't know that he's, Tyler Warren from last year, or
no.
Who was the other guy last year? Loveland, was he last year as well? Colston, Loveland?
Yeah, Colston.
So, I think if you look at drafts in a vacuum, like 1 year, like we were talking about Love, or you talk about, tight end like Sadiq. But if you compare them to other years, like we did when you have Bijan Robinson, and then you have Ashton Genty, you kind of get a better feel for, how the caliber of athlete is in this draft. And I do think it's a little weaker draft. I think it has some strong elements to it, but you got to pick the right guys at the right time. And, value, just because you need a tight end, then, the value probably for him at pick 23 for the Eagles just never made a lot of sense to me. Before we move on, you mentioned wide receivers. What did you think of the Eagles retaining Aaron Moorhead?
I have no thoughts. You're more tapped in with that than I am. So I don't.
I see everybody going crazy about it, but I think what it tells you is that they obviously believe Moorhead was doing his job, and it was the hierarchy there that was the problem. And by that, I mean the play design and scheme he had to work with, the game plans that he had to work with, the play installations, aka hitch routes he had to work with, and position coaching's probably like fourth on that totem pole there. So I guess they just believed he did his job and that everything above him was what was at fault. I was just curious your thoughts, because I just see the past 3 days, everybody just mercilessly bashing this guy. But, there's a lot, I think, that we don't know that, what goes on I think the fair assessment would be he didn't develop some of the guys who you thought would, you know, be better, who they drafted, like a Johnny Wilson or even Dotson. Some believe, you know, he didn't get as much out of him, but you're going to see now, because they're going to probably take a wide receiver like you did here at some point in this draft. And for him to stick around another season, there's got to be some sort of development at this point.
Yeah. And they're going to need, that's why I kind of asked the question about double dipping at wide receiver. I know this is our wide receiver show, but they, just like tight end, like they need a new kind of wide receiver to develop in Philadelphia if they're going to be asking their wide receivers to block as much as they are in 2026. Like, I love AJ, but he's not a blocker. I love Devontae. He's not a blocker. Like, they need to really inject. I know they have Johnny Wilson, but that doesn't give me any kind of confidence going forward. So they definitely need to figure that position out. And it would have been nice to have a fresh voice, but if I'm not in the locker room, I don't know what they see and don't see. So I trust the Eagles to make the right decision there. So I don't really have any thoughts.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. And I think that's what gets lost a lot of times. People say, well, AJ came here, he was already made. Devontae came here, he was already made. You know, they didn't have to develop them. But at the same time, when you're trying to develop Aeneas Smith and Johnny Wilson, 5th, 6th round picks, I mean, what do you expect you're going to get out of a lot of these guys? And I think that, you know, the Eagles did their assessment and they believe that, you know, Moorhead's been doing his job.
In fact, I do like the one receiver they have. Is that Cooper?
Yeah, Darius Cooper.
Darius Cooper. Maybe there's something there. Maybe there's a little juice there.
I agree. Yeah.
Could be something there for 2026. But beyond that, like, they definitely need to address that position for sure. At least add blockers, especially at tight end. But that is our running back show. Guys, in the comments, let us know whose mock draft for the Eagles you liked more. I think I took the L on this one. But anyway, David, where can we find you? Anything you got going on you want to talk about?
Yeah, find everything I do at PHL Eagle News. Actually, no, I changed it. It's David Neese PHL. Oh my God. You can still probably go. Yeah, I think PHL Eagle News might still be sitting there. You might still go there. I don't know, but I don't post there. But, and you can find everything I write at Philly Sports Network. Today, I did a piece about the Jalen Carter contract. Monday, I did one about 6 free agent corners. And tomorrow, it's a lengthy one about how the Eagles need to marry the scheme and the passing game and the sequencing, like the 5 aspects of the offense that they need to kind of marry together in order to be successful moving forward. But I don't know what time that's coming out tomorrow, but it's definitely coming out tomorrow. Took me like 2 months to write it. I've been writing it since the season came to an end. So if you do see it, check it out. Thanks.
Guys, make sure you're following David on X, one of the best Eagles follows there is. I am Deibs, Mr. Crockpot. Thank you, everyone, for watching. I have no idea what position we're doing next week, but we'll surely be back talking
wide receiver.
More.
We might as well just go wide receiver. We kind of alluded to it all day.
We literally started our draft coverage with the 2 worst positions.
Yes. Ryan just wanted to get him out of the way, and then he bails on one of the episodes, that jerk.
Yeah. So if we do wide receiver, I'm just doing X receivers. I'm not going by the consensus. I'm just going straight Eagles rankings.
I love it.
Yeah. So that'll be a really fun show. I think, is that one of our top 5 positions? Is that top 10? I don't remember.
I don't either.
So what we're doing is we're doing top 5 position rankings, but if it's a top 5 Eagles position of need, we're making those top 10. Just so everyone's aware.
I think it may have been. I know we had OT, tight end.
Definitely interior. O-line.
Yeah. Cornerback was probably one. Yeah, it probably is one of the top 10. I don't know. Ryan will figure it out. He mapped the whole damn thing out until draft night.
Perfect. All right. So, guys, be on the lookout for that. Please be sure to like and subscribe. He is David. I am Deibs. Thanks for watching, everyone. Stay awesome.